Hey, how's everybody doing? My name is Kayvon Young-Reaves. I'm a senior information technology, information systems double major from Charleston, South Carolina. I currently have a full-time position in Nashville at Asurion as a software engineer. Thank you for those who congratulate me. Shout out to my mom and all my instructors. But today we are going over my first React application. Um, I've never used React. It's very interesting when you begin using or begin coding in React. It's very responsive, very robust, and naturally, since I will be working with JavaScript, it makes a lot of sense to use React along with JavaScript. But with that being said, it was very difficult in learning. Far from knowing everything, every little thing about it, spent majority of my time researching, researching. This is just today, showing y'all since Sunday, 17 hours. A lot of that was just trial and error, going back and forth with the code, trying to understand the logic, trying to make sure I grasped what I was doing and how I was applying to the web application that I was building. But without further ado, let's look at some code. So, of course, within my package.json, the name of my web application is image recognition. Really, since I was at my internship, they allowed me to see a lot of the machine learning models, and I've never really worked with external APIs. So I was like, okay, well, let me go and find a website or an API that I can use within a web application, and that led me to Clarify. So Clarify has API keys for different machine learning models. I'm using face detect model, but there's numerous ones where you can detect household items, you can detect dogs, you can detect just about anything. You get to play around with it, and it's free to sign up, and that's Clarify. Of course, my Node-mon or use Node-mon. You can still use it with the React web application, but you can also just run npm run start. I also will be using React DOM. That's just so I can pull values from different inputs or input bars, fields, my bad, input fields. React particle.js, researched a little bit about it, and you'll see it in the application. It gives you a cool little background. React scripts, of course, there's just scripts for React. And React tilt, you'll see that on one of my buttons. And tachyons. Tachyons is basically CSS on steroids. It allows you to basically customize just about anything. The syntax is very interesting. So if you see some symbols that you don't understand, you're gonna have to do what I did and research. Just look on web, see if you can figure it out, because there's a lot of different tags for different things. And here's some scripts that I have. And yeah, so really, you don't need any of this. This comes automatically when you create a new React application. You don't gotta really worry about that. It's really your source that has all your information. So of course, this is basically what's ran when you start your application. It grabs this app, basically app.js right here, which is here. But of course, your index.css. You have a little bit of CSS in React, but not too much. This is just my background for the whole entire page, which you'll see in a short second. But here's the good juicy stuff right here, your app.js. Here you'll be able to, this is basically where your application starts. So once your app.js initiates, render starts. This function right here starts kicking off all of these components. Navigation, particles, logo, rank, image link, form, face recognition, sign in, register. These are all components that go along with each other. And one thing that I've learned is that you can kind of see it as an if-else statement. So when it starts up, if, well, of course, it automatically runs your particles, which is my background. And if, the user is signed in with navigation, then you can go ahead and redirect to home. If not, then take them to or once they sign in, then you can take them to the home screen, which has your logo, rank, image link form, and basically your facial recognition. If not, then they'll be given the option to sign in or to register. Very, very cool stuff. Very cool stuff. One thing before I get too in depth is calculate face location. I actually did have to look for help on this part because the model gives you basically some help on finding your bounding box, which is the square that you'll see around the face. But you have to calculate that width and height to make sure it's right over the face. Did a little more research, haven't fully understand the math behind it, but they kind of took care of that for me. So I just had to follow along with their tutorial and on their website, but everything else is basically me. These are called states. States basically are like where your application is at within, or where it's at within the application. As you can see down here, displaying the box, it sets this box state to box. That's an empty bracket or empty object. And on input change, these are basically functions that allow my application to basically work. As you can see here on route change, your route is basically redirecting you from one page to the other. On button submit basically is when you click the button, what does it do? But with that being said, you can see here where I use the face detect model. And once I click the button on the website, on my web application, that's when it basically processes that image and gives me that response, or calculates the bounding box and then responds back to the user. Everything else, this is where I initiate my particle options. You also can get this from particle.js. They give you a lot of information on that. Here's where I use my API key that you will need from Clarify, and where you import all of your different components. Cool thing is that in JavaScript, you have to require a lot of your modules, and here you can import them, which is pretty neat. This is just another piece of CSS, but here's all my components, as you can see there. Won't go too in depth on that. Basically, it's just setting up my components so that you can see them on the screen, and most of them are tied to a bit of CSS so that they look pretty. A lot of them are, I use the custom logo, my brand, which is Young and Successful. We'll talk about that later. But let's get into actually looking at what it looks like. So if you go npm run start, give it some time, and boom, it'll take you to a sign-in page. Ideally, this is where I will have them sign in. I have not connected to a database yet, but I will. Just wanted to get get the syntax down with using React. Probably make it a little darker in the future, but as you can see, it's pretty cool. This is the particle I was talking about. It's back here. It's pretty cool. You can make it even you can make it more functional. but didn't want to get too in depth in using